I'd like to call this Thursday, September 23rd, Dallas County Public School Board meeting to order. If everyone would rise for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Get a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
I'd like to make a motion.
Second. Motion is second. Any discussion? All those in favor? The next item on the agenda, public comment. We have Mr. Robert Moses signed up. Public comment. Come on up.
Thank you, members of the board. I'm not 100% positive on the full agenda for today, but I'm hoping there's going to be some consideration in getting out of phase 3, going either back to phase 2 or phase 1. I guess more directly my comments would be for you three. As I watched the August meeting, you guys voted not to even have phase 2 entered, and I appreciate that. Gentlemen, my concerns are the safety of the children, as I'm sure your guys' concerns are as well. I'd simply like to share that my children have come home each day from school complaining of headaches from breathing in too much CO2. And they're getting headaches, and then my daughter on Monday informed me that she had a friend come up to her. She was out at recess, outside, running around, and her mask kept slipping down as she's running around outside. And her teacher kept saying, get your mask back on, put your mask back on, and just kept slipping down. While that was occurring, her other friend came up to her and said, why does your mask keep falling out? She said, well, I'm outside running around, plus I hate these things and they're stupid, I can't breathe in it. And her friend says to her, well, I'm not gonna be friends with someone who doesn't want to wear a mask, so we're no longer friends. Gentlemen, we're sowing fear and hate and division in our children. I simply just want to return to an era of choice, to give parents choice, children, young teens choice. I'm not opposed to someone who wants to wear a mask. That is a choice you can make, but when you guys make the choice for them, you take away their agency. I am a very strong believer in my Lord and Savior. And one of the most important things that He gave us is agency, a law that He cannot even break or revoke Himself. We have agency to choose for ourselves. The area where our agency can be practiced the best is an environment of maximum freedom. We must allow our children and the parents to have maximum freedom. I understand there's a fight with Richmond. I understand there's a fight with DC. As you stated last time, is this the hill we want to die on? I understand that. But it's time to take a stand. Maybe this is the hill we need to die on. It's time to say enough is enough and stop forcing parental choices and not letting parents choose anymore. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments, Mr. Moses. Do we have any others? This man signed up at this time. Anybody else in the audience interested in providing public comment? Are we okay with?
Yeah, I don't know whether it is. I don't care if I read it.
You know? Yeah.
Okay.
Well, we rarely have this many folks in the audience, so. You just want to state your name before you get started?
Yeah, My name's Ellie Burnett. I'm a third grade teacher at Eastern. Sorry, I'm a little nervous. Good afternoon, school board members, parents, teachers, and students. My name is Ellie Burnett, and I am a third grade reading teacher at Eastern Elementary School. This is my first year as a teacher in Giles County, and it has been an amazing experience. My coworkers, students, and their parents are amazing people, and I'm very fortunate to have the opportunity to work with them. To me, my students' safety is my biggest concern, and I see COVID as the biggest threat to their physical health. As of today, and all my statistics are from the New York Times, Giles County is considered an extremely high-risk county for COVID. Every ICU bed in Giles and Montgomery County is currently full. And this past week has been the highest amount of COVID cases since the beginning of the pandemic in Giles. Our elementary school students are among the most vulnerable since they are unable to be vaccinated. The only way we can protect our students while they are in school is having them socially distance and wear a mask. I'd like to thank the school board for initiating the mask mandate, an appropriate and necessary measure in protecting our students and our staff.
Thank you. Thank you.
Any others? All right, appreciate those that are take the nerve to come up and speak. Probably not everybody feels comfortable doing that. We clearly want to hear from folks, and I think those two public comments probably tell the story of the challenge that we have, not as just a board, but as a community. So I'll continue to ask everybody to just be patient with us and watch us every month struggle to find balance and put the kids first. That's what we know how.
And this was such a tough decision, unmanageable decision. I've got a granddaughter, she's 5 in kindergarten, and she has breathing problems already. And to ask her to wear a mask was hard. For me, as a grandparent, or even more as a board member, to do that. And I have faith also, sir. And through prayer, and I'll be honest, and even through her and her mothers, and asking her to do it, and she did it, and she's gotten used to it, and it's been hard, but I cannot imagine me not making her or doing this decision and something happening. And that's why, for me, I voted the way I did and having to visit her in the hospital. And she's gotten used to it. But it's hard, and it's not a, it's a hard decision. So, but hopefully one day this will go away, and that's what we're all praying for.
So let's start. I mean, Phil, I think we all need to have a chance to respond. I think given the situation, I want all the board members to have a chance to say a few words if they want to. So you got anything based on the public comments to add?
Well, it's like everybody, I think, in this room knows how I feel about the mask. It's not gonna change. I know it's a tough situation that we're in. Do you wear them, do you won't wear it, don't wear them? My opinion is they don't serve a purpose, in my opinion. Because when I worked in a factory, we had to be on a fire brigade, that was required. They give you a mask that had canisters on it. My opinion, that is the only way that a mask is effective. These masks that y'all got on, if it makes you feel good, wear it. I'm like him. I have nothing against anybody who wants to wear a mask. But that's the only mask, in my opinion, I'm no doctor, and I could be totally wrong. That's the only mask that I see that would effectively work. If it has 2 canisters on it where it completely seals your mouth. Like I said, right or wrong, and I'm like Mark, heaven forbid that we have any kid that doesn't wear a mask and happens to die. That would be the worst thing in the world. But I'm with him. If the parents want to take that risk, that's up to them. But like I said, right or wrong, you have my opinion is you need to have your own decision of whether you wanna wear a mask or not, so.
I'm certain you don't really have anything to say, Mr. Webb. I'll give you that.
Well, I think everybody kind of knows how I feel. I feel the same exact way. I think it should be up to parents. I don't think they work. I don't think they make a difference. I get very angry when I look and don't get me wrong, I'm tickled to death sports are back. And people are out there, they're enjoying life, which is what they should be doing. But it burns me up when I see it, and then I have to look at our kids in school, sitting with masks on. And it makes me even madder if they're up playing on the playground with masks on. You know, I don't understand that, but, you know, that's my personal opinion. I'm a parent, I'm a grandparent, and I think I have the right to decide what's best for my kids. That's just my personal opinion. Sometimes people have to agree to disagree.
Mr. Butler?
I think, you know, when we voted in August, we're at a time when we weren't in a code red. I think it should be a parental choice to a certain extent until it affects the operations of our school system. Our number one charge is to educate our kids. As we learned last year, we can't educate our kids unless they're in the classroom. We've got no virtual option this year. If your kid gets sent home, they may or may not be they may get left behind if they're out for 2 weeks. And my understanding of our health department guidelines, which we do have to follow on that when it comes to quarantining people, is if we've got an unmasked child in the classroom within 6 feet, which most of our classrooms are all gonna be within 6 feet, you know, unless both are wearing masks, they're getting quarantined. So that's kicking the kid out for 10 days. Same if we got a staff member or somebody else and they're not wearing the mask. That's why we had to shut down earlier for 3 days. You know, we tried it, but the effect on operations when we've got the incidents right now, regardless of whether they're effective or not. You know, I'm not a scientist, I'm not gonna presume to say. I hear what people say, I respect what Philip says, I don't know. But I do know our health department says, if you don't do this, you gotta quarantine these people and you're putting kids at risk. And given how the incidence is right now, I think we're where we need to be, because otherwise, we're gonna be shutting down every other week until these numbers go down in the whole locality. So that's where I'm coming from on it. And again, I think all of us, the most devastating thing would be is if someone, staff member, student, got sick and passed away from it. And again, we don't know what we don't know. So that's where I stand on it.
All I have to say is that we, as a group, acknowledge the fact that the masks were something we thought should be a parental decision, and that's why we voted the way we did to begin with. In the back of our minds, we knew that if things, and in this business, whether we like it or not, optics have a lot to do with how we have to decide to operate as a $30 million business, because we depend on funding from a lot of different groups. We got a huge diversity of parents and teachers that all throw their concerns all into one big bucket. And then we get to figure out how to pan all that out. And in the end, I will say this for this board, because it's true. Every one of us want to do what's right for the kids first. First. We can't ignore the fact that without teachers, the kids don't get what they need. We can't ignore the fact that without parents having a way to make sure those kids find a way to the building. So there's all these different legs, and I can't, in 20 years, you may look back at this board and say they made a whole mess of it. And it might be the case. But we really are battling. We're in email correspondence with Dr. Arbogast and staff daily about this stuff. And what's frustrating for us is that new changes from the health department and the medical community come down sometimes 2 or 3 times a week. And as soon as that resonates through the public, it hits the parents a different way, it hits their teachers a different way, and that's what's not fair. Where the arguments in your speech should, the ears that it should be hitting are the ones that are jamming stuff down our throat that we can't do anything about. So, all I'll say is we're gonna keep doing the best we can, and the numbers are coming down. I don't know if that's gonna be something that stays down, but we've got to find that balance, and we're not, I hope that people have got to see that this board, we don't stand on something and then just keep doing it because we don't feel like we can back up on something. We've changed things 5 or 6 times. We'll keep changing the policy as we think we need to change it. So don't quit. Bring in your concerns to us. Don't stop telling us what you think you need. We're a product of all of these messages that come to us. Without them, we're gonna try to do what we personally think is right, but this is what we need. We got to have the feedback. So, no emails, no calls to us, but lots of chatter on Facebook that we can't do anything with it. So, you can talk to your buddies all you want to about stuff, and you can complain in your little chat groups, but they don't have a vote. So you wanna talk to somebody who can make something change? Right here. And if you don't like what we're voting for, when November gets here every 2 years, put somebody else up here. That's our job. We're gonna listen and do the best we can to make sure every child has a chance to have equal education. So we appreciate the public comment. Anything else the board would like to present to subject that we have right now before we get to the rest of the business? All right. Mr. Lusk is not going to be available this evening, so agenda item number 3 will be postponed.
October, hopefully.
Okay, to a future date.
Yes, sir.
Look forward to that. Also, next on the agenda is approval of consent items by single board vote, which include meeting minutes, financial data, and surplus items.
Make that motion to approve.
Second.
Motion second, any discussion? All those in favor? Next agenda item, superintendent's report, Dr. Overguest.
Thanks, sir. If it's all right with you, I'm gonna move down to our educational feature.
Yes, let's do this.
That way, because we have some students here and some teachers here that have joined us this evening, and staff members. The educational feature is going to be presented by Macy McClarity this evening. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Brown, let him introduce who he's brought with him this evening, and begin.
Good afternoon, folks. We have some of our 7th grade students here to do the educational presentation for y'all today. They have a slideshow for you. We provided you a copy of that. We have, come on up, ladies, when I call your name, Jaden Tickle, Haley Meredith, and Hannah Monday. We also have Mr. Campbell here, our 7th grade science teacher. So we're going to do the presentation, and afterwards, Mr. Campbell and I have some additional information that we'd like to share with you that we're excited about. Okay, so I'm going to turn it over to the ladies and let them do the presentation.
You want me to change it?
Well, not yet, but just whenever. It's fine where it's at right now. Thank you. Good afternoon. I'm Jason Campbell. I teach 7th grade civics and science at Macy McClarity. My wonderful assistants here to join me today. And we're here just to kind of share some of the things that we've been doing at Macy since school began. You know, we're just kind of about a month in, so we're going to be able to get into a lot of stuff, but we've still been able to do several things. On the first slide there, I just listed a few of the labs that we've done in science so far. I started out the school year really within the first couple of days. We did a bubble gum lab where the students had different brands of gum. They chewed it and they had to measure to see which one made the largest bubble. I don't have any pictures of that one because I was too busy trying to police, make sure the bubble gum stayed where it was supposed to. The acidic and sugary drink lab, testing the effects of acid and sugar drinks like sodas, Gatorades, things like that on teeth. And we used eggshells to simulate the teeth, and they were kind of grossed out by that one to see what it did to an eggshell after sitting in it for about 24 hours. And then they used some microscopes, this was just last week, looking at some different cells. So they were really excited about doing that. So the one that they're going to talk about this evening, though, is one where I kind of turned them loose in the school. They were in small groups, and we were introducing cells. And before I gave them the information, I wanted to see just how well they could do on their own. So they went on a little scavenger hunt around Macy, and they were correlating parts of Macy with the different parts of the cell, trying to figure out, okay, that's what happens in a cell. If I go to a certain part of the building, if that's what happens in the school, that must be what happens in a cell. And so that's kind of how that worked. And I've got my student helpers here are going to kind of help introduce this, and I'm going to let them kind of explain how this worked. And you want to introduce kind of how you started?
Yeah. So we went on a scavenger hunt around the school in designated locations. Based on the locations in the school, we found out the functions of the cells and the organelles. The students that brought their phones to school, they got their phones out and took out a selfie at each of the locations.
This was our clue sheet that we used to help us guide us in the right direction. Cell membrane. This was located on our classroom door to show the cell membrane allows substances in and out of the cell like a door.
Okay, the nucleus located at the principal's office to show that the nucleus is the control center of the cell. Chloroplasts, located at the cafeteria to show the organelle is responsible for making food.
The mitochondria was located near the gym to show that that was where all the energy was released. And the cell wall was located on an exterior wall in the building to show that the cell wall provides structure and support for the cell.
See, I did the same thing back in 1976 with myself.
I didn't have sales back then. I didn't have sales back then.
They didn't know that. They would have bought that.
They were excited when they learned they could use their cell phone.
I bet.
That was the greatest thing ever.
I bet so.
I could have done anything at that point. It wouldn't have mattered. Okay, and so some of the other things I wanted to share with you are some of the things we've got coming up on the horizon. Like I said, we haven't been able to get into all of this, but several of these things are starting in October. The TSA, which is Technology Student Association membership, Dr. Brown and I are going to talk about that in a little more detail here in a few minutes, but that's going to be some great opportunities for our students here in Giles County. I also have an ecosystems Zoom meeting with the museum in Boston, Science Museum in Boston. They're going to be calling in. That's going to be on October 5th, so all the 7th grade will be participating in that. They'll be able to interact and talk with the employees there, and they're going to show them some cool things in the museum. And finally, on October 22nd, we have another Zoom meeting with Amazon. Amazon's going to show the students just how they fulfill orders, all the technology that goes behind it.
That's cool.
From the moment they order, from the moment it's delivered at your door, they're going to be able to kind of see all the little behind the scenes of that. So I think that's going to be a really good opportunity.
Pretty cool.
Pretty neat.
So yeah, I think they're really going to enjoy that.
So we wanted to kind of just, as a follow-up, talk about the Technology Student Association. I don't know if you remember, I know back in my day, it's akin to the industrial arts type program. Skills USA DECA, it's a cousin to that, so to speak, for middle school students. And this is going to be in conjunction with our STEM program. So I am really excited about this, looking down some of the things that our middle school students can do. And this is going to include 6th and 7th grade students as well. We have architectural and construction technology, communication technology, computer science and information technology, leadership, manufacturing and transportation technology, STEM, of course, STEM in the arts and technology research. And this is all things that are available for our students to compete in, so to speak, and get some exposure and learn some fantastic skills. I know Mr. Campbell is going to do a few projects with them, and hopefully we can compete. I think it's a great opportunity for our students to start to explore different areas that they might want to pursue. And it has something for everybody, especially somebody that might not want to go into CAD or engineering. I mean, there's leadership, so they can build skills in that, which will be a springboard to when they get to high school and can do similar things there as well. So we're introducing them to these activities. I was really excited to learn about the TSA and everything it had to offer, and then we're really going to really delve into that, explore it, and see what it can do for our students. And I'm gonna let Mr. Campbell talk about, we've already got some things lined up, or rather, Mr. Campbell already has some things lined up, so I'm gonna let him talk about that.
Yeah, it kind of started with, I was wanting to pursue a bridge building competition, because that's something I did prior to arriving to Giles County. I used to do with my middle school students. It was a statewide competition every year in West Virginia, and I kind of reached out to some people to see what we could do with that. I reached out to Christina Martin about it, and after just doing some checking, we ended up finding this, and this is going to be a lot better. It's given us a lot of opportunities. Like Dr. Brown was saying, we're going to have some students that, you know, they'll enjoy the bridge building, they'll enjoy the hands-on STEM, but I've got some that, you know, digital photography is one of the competitions, so that's something they can go on. Writing children's stories is another one. So there's at least, I want to say 37 competitions, I think is what we counted, that students can join up with, so I can have all kinds of different things going on at the same time. So hopefully there's something there for everyone to do. And I've heard that Virginia Tech really likes seeing TSA on student applications. If they've competed or entered some of those things, that's something that they look for as well. So yeah, we're really excited.
Guys, what do you think about that? Does that sound interesting? You know, you got so far, you know, back in when, you know, I didn't graduate but a few years ago. I'm not gonna lie to you. But we didn't do that stuff. I think it was like 8th or 9th grade before we get to do labs and stuff. And I remember the first lab I got to do, I caught our whole table on fire. And I had to repeat that class. I keep leaving on the school board. But enjoy that stuff. Enjoy the hands-on. It's great stuff to do and take advantage of that. And the opportunities is there to do. I mean, man, I would love to have done that when I was at your age, you know. So it's awesome.
Give me a call about the bridge building stuff, because when I was at Bluefield State, we started the first bridge building program there with Dr. Kerry Stauffer, who's still there now. And since then, we have beaten Clemson, Virginia Tech, and actually nationally competed 3 times out of that program. I think they would bring all the equipment here and maybe show them how you have to put a bridge together in a competition. You know how if you drop a wrench, it's gone. Just like if you were working on a bridge, you can't use it again. Right. You gotta figure out how to get the members all the way across, and they do concrete canoes. That's pretty awesome. So there's some stuff there not too far away, and that technology program is pretty awesome.
We would love to have anybody come in and do presentations. I mean, Mr. Campbell's got a good start on that and building relationships with folks like Bluefield State, Virginia Tech, our local universities. I know RU does a lot of, they're big into cybersecurity, the cyber end of it. I would love to expose our students to as many opportunities as we can to get them thinking about future.
Sure.
You know, maybe I want to go this way or that way. And I think you're doing the tower, right?
Yes, from what I understand, they alternate on the bridge and they do a tower, and they do every other year. And I think this year is the tower, and so we're going to kind of start with that, just to kind of get things going, and then the bridge will be next year, and then just every other year after that. So at least it'll give them something different to do each year, I guess. But yeah, and I also think that, from what I understand, their TSA sent somebody to maybe from the Department of Transportation maybe too, that helps show the students some things with design and engineering too. So yeah, as many people as we can get in, the more the better, because you really can't have too many of that, just exposure.
I can help you with fires.
So to be fair, to give credit where credit is due, Christina Martin, our STEM specialist, is the one that approached us about this. And she came and presented to me the other day. Of course, I'm really excited about it. She's been working with Mr. Campbell. So we're starting that ball rolling, so to speak, and I want to really move forward and really give some good opportunities to our students. So.
Sounds great.
Y'all have any additional questions?
Sooner the better.
Yeah.
I can't find engineers, people in the construction industry can't find anybody to work.
Yes.
Anything that we can do to let them try to figure out what they're interested in earlier than later is fantastic.
And I think under our TSA umbrella, there's a little something for everybody.
Right.
So, we would like, if possible, maybe when we finish our talent project, to come back and maybe have an opportunity to showcase that.
Any way we can help.
I don't wanna take up too much of your time, but I'm a very proud principal tonight. The young ladies come up here and do an outstanding job.
Yes, they did.
And, I believe good things are gonna happen with our tower project, and if nothing else, we can send you a slideshow that you could watch.
We'd rather have them here
They
and
can
do
come
this.
by.
Okay, awesome. So,
Work with numbers like we usually do.
so again, I want to wrap up. I want to thank Jaden, Haley, and Hannah. Also want to thank their parents for bringing them tonight. Thank y'all for your support and bringing them out tonight, and thank y'all for your time.
Y'all should be proud.
I do have one more to say something real fast.
Me personally, I like to get a head start in my career, so I think it's really important to look into that and see what we can do to get good things on our college career. So I think that's also really important.
It is, it is.
Good. Big young lady.
Thank y'all. That's great.
Thank you.
Moving on to personnel items, I need to ask the board to confirm at this time. And y'all can stay if you want, or y'all can go, that's up to y'all.
Got dance class.
I understand. I understand.
Thank you, guys.
See y'all, thank y'all.
Jaden.
Personnel items, I need to ask you to confirm, employment, Mark Middleton, Eastern Elementary middle school teacher, effective this year. Haley Vest, Neris High School teacher assistant, effective August 30th. Cameron Fields, Neris High School teacher assistant, effective August 19th. Laura Rogers, Eastern Elementary middle school teacher assistant, effective August 30th. Adara Williams, Eastern Elementary middle school teacher assistant, effective September 7th. Matthew Mullins, Giles High School business teacher, effective August 30th. Ashley Pennington, Neris High School secretary, effective October 1st. Kayla Massey, Neris High School teacher assistant, effective September 13th. Melissa Dodson, Neris High School Spanish teacher, effective September 13th. Stephanie Mitchner, Neris Elementary middle school teacher. And Kimberly Kressel, Macy McClarty, Title I teacher, effective September 13th.
Make a motion, we approve.
I'll second that motion.
Got a motion and a second, any discussion? All those in favor?
Need to ask the board to approve the following athletic coaching contracts. Kelly Ratcliffe, Giles High School head JV volleyball. Randy Weddle, Giles High School girls tennis head coach. Chris Helvey, Neris High School head JV football. John Bowman, Neris High School assistant varsity football. Colin Muncie, Neris High School head cross country. Verena Riley, Giles High School head cross country. Bradley Sutphin, Neris High School head girls basketball. Nancy Quisenberry, Neris High School assistant girls basketball. Byron Brown, Neris High School head girls JV basketball. Brian Strader, Giles High School varsity football. And Benji Ratcliffe, Giles High School groundskeeper.
I'll make the motion that we approve those contracts.
I'll second.
That motion is second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Need to ask the board to approve the following volunteer agreements. Anthony Ratcliffe, Giles High School football. Joseph Clark, Giles High School assistant golf coach. Alvin McGuire, Narrows High School football. Elisa Smith, Narrows High School volleyball. Courtney Witt, Narrows High School volleyball. Matthew Mullins, Narrows High School. Henry Buchanan, Narrows High School football. Jason Buckland, Narrows High School football. McCreary Mann, Narrows High School football. Cameron Fields, Narrows High School cheer. And Deborah Green, Narrows Elementary Middle School.
Anyone abstain from voting in discussion on that matter?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Got a motion and second. Any discussion?
Yeah, there's one on there we might.
We need to break these out individually so we can isolate votes. Or does he just get chewed through because he's in a group of good coaches?
I guess we'll let him slide.
All right. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Thank y'all.
You're welcome.
Need to ask the board to approve the following resignations. Carmen Wright, Mason McClarity nurse, effective August 17th. Sharon Cecil, Giles High School teacher assistant, effective August 15th. Jennifer Clater, Mason McClarity teacher assistant, effective September 9th. Troy Whittier, Giles Tech Center Ag Lab land manager, effective August 31st. And Haley Vest, Narrows High School teacher assistant, effective September 3rd.
I'll make a motion that we approve those resignations.
Second.
Got a motion and second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Need to ask the board to approve the following supplemental contracts. Randy Weddle, Giles High School Social Studies Department Head, Giles High School MAC Social Studies. Shane Dalton, Giles High School Yearbook, and Diana Blanton, Giles High School Head MAC all around, and Science Department Head and MAC Science.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Motion and second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
That's all we got. We ain't getting no more, do we? What's up?
Move on to the next item.
I need to ask the board, to approve the following retirement. Christy Lawson, Food Service Supervisor, that'll be effective June 30th, 2022.
With great regret, I will make a motion that we approve that retirement.
I feel the same way. I'll second it, but with regret.
Me too.
Motion and second. Any discussion? I'll say she certainly deserves to retire. Man, we will have to hire 3 people to replace.
Yeah.
All right. All those in favor?
Need to ask the board to approve the substitute teachers list to date that you received.
Are we having trouble, I know the list was pretty good. Are we been able to get substitutes pretty good?
They're still going through and doing the best they can. They'll go through the list, get some, sometimes they don't.
And that list used to be like 3 pages long.
That list used to be much longer than that, that's correct.
Is there a chance that we have to talk about this list and pay at one time if they still can't get them?
So, substitute pay?
Yeah.
Substitute pay was increased to, this year.
What,
That's a responsible minimum wage, right?
Yes, sir.
are the teachers using them this year? I know that they were concerned about getting people into the building last year.
Schools are using them when they can, if those that are interested in coming.
Okay. I have to ask that question while teachers are sitting in the back of the room there, so just. I'm curious. I know last year, it didn't matter what this list looked like, they were still having to take each other's classes over and work their butts off.
And I'm not saying that that's not occurring now, but that still is occurring.
But, okay. Is that because the list isn't providing the service that they need, or because they would rather be very careful and not have other people come in the building? I guess I'm just making sure we're not messing on something that we need to provide. It's certainly their choice if they want to cover.
I think principals are exhausting every option that they have.
Okay, got it. So we could use more.
If we had more, I think we picked up 4 or 5 here in the last couple of weeks, didn't we?
Okay.
So, yeah, if we keep getting them, that's great.
We get a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the substitute teachers list today.
I'll second that.
Motion second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Need to ask the board to approve RFP 17-2021. That's for speech services, and that's to use the company, the Stepping Stones Group LLC. I think we received bids from 4 companies, and you were provided the list of those 4 companies.
I'll make that motion.
Second. Motion and second. Any discussion?
Yes. There's a couple of things. One, is this the company we talked about the last work session?
This is one of them that we talked, yes, sir.
I mean, are they gonna be able to staff this? 'Cause I'm not sure, we discussed another option on that, to go in closed session to discuss that, but if they're gonna provide these services virtually, I think we're making a huge mistake, because I don't think those are services that can be provided virtually. And we need to make sure we're gonna have a live person in the classroom to provide these services. That's a concern.
At this time, I don't know if they have found somebody to do it, so I don't.
Even if they find somebody, is that the plan to deliver virtually?
No, I think the plan is if they find somebody, it's gonna be in person.
That's what I thought.
That's
So
my
what are we, let's just say that we did approve this as one option. Does that prevent us, if they can't get somebody in a timely fashion, does that prevent us from still hiring somebody?
I think we'd have to look at, I think we have 30 days we can notify them for not meeting. I'd have to look at the exact verbiage in the RFP.
So the language in the agreement with these folks prevents us from competing with them by hiring our own people? Is that?
I would, until we get away from, if this is approved, I would say that we would have to work with them until.
What's the time limit? Like, if with this company, are they gonna send us a speech therapist, next week?
No, I mean, I have not spoken with the company. I don't know whether Jessica has, Ms. Morris has or not.
Do you know, Lisa?
I know that they're searching for one, but so is every other county in the division searching for speech, SLPs. I know that another company did reach out that could provide the telespeech. And so I asked Jessica to check to see what divisions are providing telespeech, just to see, what we were kind of competing against and finding an SLP. And at this time, she said that Withville, Dickinson, Wise, Carroll, and Norton City are using telespeech. And that same company has, I think, a company that provides those services did reach out to us today through email, wanting to know if we could use their services. But I mean, it wouldn't be unusual if we use telespeech because there are other divisions doing that.
There's others doing it.
If we'd had somebody in our own system, at Nares High School or Macy or somebody that wanted to do this, wanted to go into this program, could we pay for them to do that? Pay for whatever, I don't know how long it would be, 2-year program.
It'd be It's longer than that.
Well, it depends on what qualifications they got right now.
We currently don't,
I'm thinking we need to do something, you know, whether they have to sign a contract, just want to stay, or whatever. We need to keep somebody here that would be interested in staying here, if we could reach out to somebody, or somebody would reach out to us. I think we need to have somebody. I think the people in our system, I think, would do that.
I mean, this is a whole different degree. It's not like a teaching degree, you know, it's like, you'd have to start all over again. It's not a teaching contract.
I understand that.
But for the immediate,
Yeah, for me, but long-term, I think that's something we need to
It's like,
think about.
it's just like a shortage on teachers, people are not
it's,
going into that field.
and I do know Radford University has a couple cohorts, but those are teachers that are already teaching, going through it, so I don't know that any of those would be an option once they finish the cohort.
And the only problem with trying to, get an agreement for somebody to stay, I think that's great, is the 13th Amendment, try to enforce.
Yeah, I don't know that, I mean, you could try, but I don't.
You'd have to do it'd have to be like a loan repayment program, where if we provided it, that it made it work, then they're liquidated damages, but, we couldn't bar them from working somewhere else or breaching the employment contract. As a general rule, that's not legal advice, that's just me as a general knowledge person.
you just read those books on the weekend.
I do.
Yeah. My concern, Dr. Arbogast, is, and I know a couple of our board members have heard some concerns about needing this service as quickly as possible from parents, and that's a problem. I think we know that we have an avenue to probably provide some immediate service that has been discussed. If we take this route and vote on this as a board today, and these folks tell us that they can't get anybody to us for 60 days, and my fear is if we would even tell you and Lisa we want to go ahead and take that other route, we're in the contract with these folks and we can't do it. And that's not, so just throwing it out there and we gotta vote on it, but if we vote no on this and give direction to use staff to reach out to this group and say, we need an honest answer on whether or not you're gonna be able to get us somebody within a reasonable amount of time. If you can't, my board's not gonna approve, because we're gonna take another route to get somebody in here as fast as we can and get over whatever issue we may have, because the kids need somebody one way or another. We gotta get past ourselves, and that's all, that's just me, one board member, I don't know.
Well, what are your recommendations? I mean, I think we've got to turn to you guys. What's the best stance here?
I've not spoken to the company, so I can't tell you what they're gonna tell us.
Maybe
before
we vote on, maybe we need to that.
I would assume that they're gonna tell you that they're gonna continue to do their due diligence and try to find somebody as quickly as they can.
Are you asking for 2 speech therapists from them? Is that what you're requesting 2?
And I know they can't give us an answer, but if they see that they're struggling to get even one, and they can't tell us definitively that it can happen in the next couple of weeks, I feel like I don't want to look at a parent and say, yeah, we're waiting on somebody to find somebody, and we have somebody right here. We just decided to do a different thing. That's where I'm gonna have a hard time. I don't.
Especially if that option, even once we get it, it's gonna be a tele provider. I think that's a lot of what I'm hearing is that they just don't feel and I guess if it's tele, then we also got the added cost of having to have an aide in there.
You gotta have somebody in there with them, yeah.
So
Because our need for speech is pretty great, that's correct?
Can we?
In those 2 schools, it's,
Yes.
even like, I know the one at Nares goes to Nares High School, or did, was that
Did.
still?
I mean, and this is something I mean, I'm willing, if we had to come in here just to vote on this special meeting next week, you know, one of those days coming at lunch, or whatever it is, enough time to get the notice out. Once we figured that option, and if there's another option out there, I mean, cause we need to act fast. You know, if we can get an answer to that, get something scheduled for, I mean, Wednesday next week, you know, probably give you the notice requirement if we got it out tomorrow.
I'm good with that.
So I think what's getting ready to happen, we're gonna vote no on this. It's not to kill it, it's to give us,
I'll
the
move.
motion's already been made.
We can, draw a motion, we're not voting no.
Okay.
We're not rejecting the RFP.
Right. Who made the motion?
I made the motion, I withdraw the motion. I made the first motion.
Okay.
I move that we table this issue until our next special meeting, which tends to be next week, if at all possible.
All right, we have a new motion on the board.
I'll make that motion.
Got a second? We have a second?
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second? Any further discussion? Does that make sense for staff? Dr. RBS, Ms. Mustang, does that, understand where we're trying to go with that?
Mhm.
Okay, all those in favor?
I have two policies I need to ask the board to approve at this time, revisions to those two. It's policy AD and policy GAA.
I move that we, make this following the policy revisions as recommended.
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second, any discussion? Dr. Arbogast, I assume that this, as is normally the case, are recommendations passed down by the SBA.
These are through some from VSBA, yes, sir.
So the omnibus budget bill allowed us to bring comp time back.
I think, yeah, I guess, I mean, there was change in language. So it got rid of it and then it brought it back.
So we're basically going back to.
So we're going back to what we had.
Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor?
And I have some other things to share. I can share those after you all do your comments, or I can keep on going. I don't know how you want to do it.
What's the pleasure of the board? Dr. RBS, to continue? Sure.
Update on enrollment. As of today, our enrollment is 2,199 students. For our in-county students, that's 2,170 in-person and 29 that are full-time virtual. Keep in mind, we also have 1,299 non-residential students that are full-time virtual through Stride. That 2,199 number is 29 down from June when we ended school. Just some information, Giles High School, SAD, Yovoso Club, they've invited John Halligan to come and do a presentation next week. I think it's next Wednesday, the 29th. He will be doing a community presentation from 6 to 7:30. If I could have a do-over, And on Thursday, the 30th, he will be at Giles High School doing a presentation for the Giles High School students, 9th through 12th grade. And at 12:45, it'll be a presentation for 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. And I don't know if you all are familiar with, I think, Mark, you might be. I don't know if everybody else is familiar with John Halligan. What he will be doing is he will be relaying his own tragic experience as a dad whose 13-year-old son took his own life back in 2003. So he'll be, that's after incessant bullying by peers since the 5th grade, both in school and online. He shares that his son wrestled with underlying mental health issues and depression, and that these factors contributed to his son's vulnerability and ultimate suicide. So he's coming back. He's been to Giles at least one other time.
One other time, I'm encouraged if we could maybe try to attend that. It's very inspiring, uplifting. Students get so much out of that. They come out feeling something out of that. I tell you, it's powerful.
What time was the 9th through 12th grade again?
The 9th through 12th grade students will be at 9:30 on Thursday the 30th. And 6th through 8th is 12:45. You're welcome. I want to congratulate the Giles High School golf team. They finished second in the MED here this week on Monday, so they qualified for the region competition next Thursday, so good luck to them. You all had a copy of the budget meeting schedule at your seat when you came in this evening. So please take an opportunity to look at that and put those on your calendars and attend whichever ones that you can. Please. Muddy Ace race, as you know, is coming up October 2nd. We sent out, Mr. McClarney asked us to make announcements at the school, so an announcement was sent to the schools for individuals to sign up, and they can sign up for a reduced admission of only $15. So that's sent to the schools and being announced at the schools. Update on our last facilities meeting. I think we met on August 30th, if I remember correctly the date, with CMTA, with Drew Roberts, and Jeremy Smith. They were here to talk about the guaranteed energy savings contracting, or really performance contracting. From that meeting, they were told to dig deeper, get additional information, provide us. So Michael Logan from CMTA came and visited the schools on September 13th and 14th. Got additional information, he and another gentleman. So I anticipate it will be a few more weeks before we hear back from them with a draft of what they have to share with us. A couple items I need to ask the board to approve. One, I need to ask the board to approve the following athletic coaching contracts: Caitlin Taylor, Giles High School cheer assistant coach; Robin Keaton, Giles High School cheer coach; and Stephen Malik, Giles High School middle school boys basketball.
Move that we approve the aforementioned athletic coaching contract.
Second.
Got a motion and a second, any discussion? All those in favor?
And I need to ask the board to approve the following employment: Mindy Caldwell, Mason McClarty School nurse, effective October 11th, and Chris Townsend, Giles Tech Center Ag Land Lab manager, effective October 4th.
Make that motion.
Second.
A motion and a second, any discussion? All those in favor?
That's all I have for now.
All right. Ms. Wright's been sitting very patiently in the back of the room. She doesn't usually attend unless she expects we're gonna be speaking of something that is interesting to her. So, we need to have some discussion and try to finalize something that was brought to our attention by the GEA. And is the board okay if we discuss that? I mean, that's why we're here, right? So.
I have bad internet, that's one reason I'm here.
In one way or another, I think we need to, even if we don't make a solid decision today, Dr. Guest, I think you did a little bit of research. Could you update the board on what you found?
I did again this week because I had another division superintendent ask me what the other school divisions in Region 7 have done. I sent out another notification or request to the 19, or the other 18 were the 19th division in Region 7. I have received 15 responses back of the 18. Of the 15 that responded, 11 did not reinstate the emergency leave. One was talking about it last night, so I don't know what they decided. And 3 others did extend it some way. One extended it through the end of December, one extended it through the end of the calendar year, and another only made it available for individuals that were fully vaccinated.
Before we talk about this, I need to state for the minutes that I, as my wife is employed and would be subject to this policy, I have a conflict of interest that's a general conflict of interest that will not permit me from discussing or voting on the matter.
So you're out?
No, I'm in. It applies to group of many. And I just gotta say that because the Attorney General's office says I have to get to jail or something.
So give us a quick overview of what this helps our teachers do, Dr. Argess, so just so the board all knows what we're talking about.
The bottom, what was requested, I believe, is reinstating what we did last year, basically, was that for individuals, teaching or staff that had to quarantine or out because they were positive, that we would not charge them their own leave. They would have the opportunity to take that time off to get through the isolation or quarantine period.
That, I think they also requested if they had to care for someone.
Or their student, or their child, yeah. Because if they've got if they have a positive child, they're gonna be a close contact, so they're gonna have to quarantine and isolate anyway.
Now, was that capped at any number of days, or was it any time that it happened, they would not get penalized based on the current guidance from BDH? I mean, I'm just trying to understand if we're tying it to that in any way, that's gonna keep changing. So in the event that it does, should it drift with BDH guidance? Because what if they come back and say you don't have to be out for 6 days? I don't know if it'll ever get less.
I think, I was trying to remember what the rule was for December. I don't remember if it was up to 14 days. I don't remember if it was that or not.
It was 10 or 4.
It was 10 or 14.
10 day and 14 day.
But I mean, I don't know if it entitled them to 10 or 14. I don't remember. But based on what we're following, the staff member is going to be out 10 days.
Right.
Unless they were vaccinated and that sort of stuff, so.
So what does that mean to us financially?
Some people could be out longer, and it also depends, as you said, or you asked, if their child is positive. Their time doesn't start until the child is able to come back. So you've got 10 days there plus another, so you've got up to 20 days to the.
It was 24 for me last year.
So
do to a child.
And how much of that are we seeing?
We're seeing, I don't have the number in front of me, how many are quarantined right now.
Teachers?
Yeah, but I'm sure that we have staff members that are being told to go home because they have symptoms or they're quarantined, or I have no doubt.
Sure they are.
To me, we've got to take care of our people. You know, I don't think it's gonna hurt us financially. I think our numbers are coming down, and I think this means something to them to not be charged with something that's in their buildings, and I think it'll mean something to them. You know, I don't see them taking advantage of it. I hope they would not do it. I don't think they would do that. I think it's common sense to take care of them. That's my personal opinion. And I'm gonna say this. I could care less what other schools are doing. I mean, this is it's their people. That's what I think, and you know, that's my opinion.
So what does it mean to us financially, the fact that and the only thing that means is we pay for a substitute.
What I
We
mean,
have to pay for the substitute anyway.
you gotta pay for the substitute anyway. It's not taking leave away from the individual employee.
It's really a negligible budget effect, assuming, other than if we gotta waive extra substitute teacher costs that we have budgeted for.
You're gonna, the substitute's gonna be there. If they're out, the substitute's gonna be there. But again, it doesn't take the leave away, so they have the leave. If and when we're able to ever get out of this, that's when they'll have that leave build up, the sick leave build up, because they won't have had to use it.
So does the board wanna take action on this? We wanna talk about it some more? Philip, Melissa, what do you got any thoughts that you care to share?
Just when we talked about the last time, if you don't do it for everybody, you're not doing it at all, in my opinion.
I agree with that at this point. I think I think anything we offer to one, all should get. We're not gonna alienate. I don't think we should alienate any teacher that has chosen not to take the vaccine and has chosen a masking option as a way to protect themselves. That's their right. And I think if we do anything to create division internally, this doesn't really do anything but create something else to argue about. So that's I'm with you, Philip. I think it's negligible on the financial end. We talk about this all the time. We have opportunities to show the teachers that we appreciate what they're doing, and this is not, it shouldn't be that hard. It's not gonna hit us in the pocketbook, and it's something that they've asked for, and clearly it's important to them.
And they're the only segment of the workforce that has, other than daycare workers that work with folks that can't get the vaccine, that, it seems to be spreading predominantly or more aggressively than last year amongst our student population and younger population. And again, I can see it, not just from the standpoint of them getting it, but many of most of our teachers have kids in the system or grandkids or folks where they would be the one to have to deal with, and it's hard to get if there's a positive COVID or quarantine. So I'm kind of sure my kids aren't sick, I want my mom taking care of them. It's kind of that thing.
So do we want to consider it through December to see how it goes?
Retroactive.
Well, I'm like Mark, I hope we don't have teachers that's gonna abuse this, but I think we need to put something in there that and dark driver gas in his Mustang, they will know that if somebody's abusing this, that it automatically stops.
I don't know.
And they'll know.
Well, I mean, I think it's, like you would, we would require documentation, I mean, in a situation where, either from the doctor, health department, or, in case we're the ones quarantining them or quarantining, we're gonna know that, it's, we need to have some sort of documentation. I think that's fair to protect our interests and protect the system from somebody.
I think part of that goes to what we're trying to get involved with Vista, with the health department, state health department, with the testing. We're gonna receive testing kits. The Buy Next Now testing kits, that if somebody has to, Ms. Mustang, you need to go home, because we can hand her one, she can go home, get on her phone, telehealth, and they can observe her do the test, and they can take care of they do the test then.
I think that's good, but I also think if the child is the reason that they're staying out, that we need to have some way to show that the child's either been told they need to quarantine, or that they are actually sick. I don't know how we do that. That seems intrusive, but I don't know.
I think you'd be required to have it. I mean, it's kind of like an FMLA situation. They're going to be required to provide whatever documentation to support that FMLA leave. I think we just use that as a similar type system, and it shouldn't be that much of a burden on either the staff member or our side.
I don't say that because I don't trust our teachers. I say that because when people in the community catch wind of stuff like this, they will have an opinion, and when we have an answer that says, yes, we've got things in place that show that it's being used correctly. That's all. And so, any teachers listening, and Katie, you can tell them we're not picking at this to try to say that you guys are gonna use it and abuse it. We're trying to make sure that anybody that comes in and says, why, how do you do this, we got documentation to explain.
I think we'd go back to using the same form that we used last year.
Do we go through December and see what happens at that point? Does it make any difference? What's?
I think December, at that point, we reevaluate and see where we are virus-wise, and we see where we are financially, if there is some unintended or unforeseen consequences. I think it's prudent.
The other question is this effective September 24th or retroactive?
I would think.
My next question is, people that's already been through this, are you backing up?
That's what I just asked. That's what
I think it's only fair for we operated under that last school year. Retroactively, I don't know that it's gonna change. Well, it could change someone's compensation, but if they've had to burn days that they didn't have throughout a quarantine, but for us, again, it should be the negligible. Puts some burden on Barbara to keep track, but it can be done.
So what is that answer? Yes?
Yes. The retroactive.
How are we gonna, if the teachers didn't know what was required of them when they took their leave, how do they go backwards and create that documentation? And I think we go from.
I don't know how you're gonna go back and create, because that's gonna.
I think we know, I think staff-wise, we know the majority of them. I don't know.
What do they want, Katie? Would they gonna have a hard time if it goes from today forward?
Probably, because you have some that have already had to burn their days. I'm just thinking of a new teacher. I didn't want to interrupt, but I'm thinking of like a new teacher who only has 10 sick days. You think about that being one quarantine, they're now docking pay, possibly. You're brand new.
Well, if we put the responsibility for them to provide documentation, and if they can't, then they they don't
I
get
mean,
the days.
I think your documentation might just be the fact that they've already talked to their principal, their school secretary, they know when they've been out. I mean, they know if they've been
They've got a list.
quarantined or not. You know, sometimes it's their school nurse they've already talked to. I mean, I would think that would be documentation enough retroactively. Now moving forward, you can make it more specific, you know.
Okay, well, I'm personally ready to spend some energy on some other things.
Yeah.
I think we're beating this one a lot.
Yeah.
It's not financially impacting us.
Because it's really not fair to the ones, and then you're gonna have ones that we've got incidents that people disputed, was you close contact, was you not, you know, it's until we can get on the same page with all that, we're gonna see it constantly, which we are.
When it's not unlimited, you know, like it's capped, you can't abuse it but so long. So if people are gonna use it that way and you require documentation, they can't do it forever.
Right.
I mean, they're gonna be caught in it if you gotta.
Yeah, there was a certain number of days the last time, I don't remember. I think it was 14 or 10. It was 10 or 14. I think it was 14, but I don't know for sure. And I think it says it on the form. And I don't have.
You had 10 days of sick leave, 14 days of COVID FMLA, I think is what it was. I mean, I think you actually had 24. You had 10 at full pay, 14 at reduced. But I think you're,
We need to make sure this motion is right before we move. I got an email from a Catherine, but not a Katie. Oh, it's signed Katie, it's a Catherine. So the change we'll make to this one, it says employees shall receive paid leave for benefits while under quarantine when directed to quarantine by school administration, the CDC, health department, health officials or their own healthcare provider. So that shows that they've gotta have documentation. Such required quarantine periods shall not be deducted from employees' accrued future leave. Administration may require the employee to perform their own or alternative virtual work during this quarantine period. That's good as long as the employee does not develop symptoms of illness. Employees shall be entitled to a minimum of 14 days of emergency health leave when in compliance with school board vaccination policy, which we're not gonna leave it.
If you're gonna reinstate the COVID leave, the emergency COVID leave, I think we go back to the form that we used last year that has it spelled out.
Okay.
And the employee had to sign off on it. And then we got it up here, Barbara brought it and I signed off on it.
Okay.
And then it went through the process.
That sounded good.
I don't have a copy of it here to read it to you, to tell you. That's what I was trying to see if I could get online here and find it.
Amanda, is it sufficient that we make a motion that the previously instated policy for FMLA be reinstated through December? Or do we have to read the entire thing in detail?
through December 12/31.
Yes.
And you could just say,
Yeah.
I don't think it was.
Y'all ready to vote on this?
Yes. I'll make that motion.
I will second.
The motion is second, any further discussion?
Are we going back and picking up just people's done usually today?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? All right. We need to go into closed session, so.
That's what I got.
You guys okay with waiting to make your comments? All right, can I get a motion that we go into closed session to discuss personnel matters?
I'll make that motion to go to closed session.
I'll just get her.
Second.
Yeah.
Motion and second, all those in favor? Down, Dr. Evans?